everyone, and welcome. You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Anna Cui, coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada. Tonight we have updates from several of our correspondents across North America, starting with Thomas Likeness in Edmonton, Alberta.
The science sector singled out by COVID critics.
Sarah Nachman in Virginia Beach reports about President Trump invigorating his base in Virginia during a recent visit. Still in Virginia Beach, Mark Anthony Borgoño.
Virginia Governor and First Lady test positive for COVID-19.
Nia Dames in Gaithersburg, Maryland.
Maryland gives green light for return of high school sports.
Mila Simbulan in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania.
A comprehensive look at COVID-19 testing in the state of Pennsylvania and know your insurance coverage pertaining to COVID testing.
CJ Tamamo in Atlanta, Georgia.
Trump courts black voters in Atlanta.
Monique Velasco in Louisiana will report about Baton Rouge working to improve healthier food access to underserved communities and providing free technology training to residents. And for EBC Sports, Andre Ryutatar in Panorama City, California.
Fans react to Los Angeles Lakers win over the Denver Nuggets.
Plus, for Come See My City, Bureau Chief Joanne Soriano takes us to Dumbo in Brooklyn, New York. But first, an overview of the COVID-19 situation. According to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time Sunday, September 27, 2020, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 32,900,000. Top three countries with most number of recorded cases: USA leading at number 1, 7.1 million. Second is India at 5.9 million, and Brazil at 4.7 million. Sadly, this virus has claimed more than 995,000 lives worldwide. Again, top three countries with most number of COVID-19 related deaths: USA with more than 204,000, followed by Brazil, more than 141,000, and India, more than 94,000. Our coverage begins now. Frustrated over how the coronavirus pandemic is being addressed, some critics are targeting public health officials, not only blaming them, but even threatening their lives. Your Chief, Thomas Likeness, joins us tonight. Thomas?
Good evening, Anna. Across North America, public health officials are being targeted by people upset with the way the pandemic's been handled. Some have received death threats, bags of hate mail arrive on the desks of others. Then there's the caustic and hurtful comments on social media, or should I say anti-social media. To some, it seems the experts are the problem. That's because what they have to say is what many do not want to hear. So why are these folks who are there to protect us the targets of such vitriol? That question was put to Alberta's Chief Medical Officer of Health last Friday, and here's how Dr. Dina Hinshaw responded.
The pandemic has caused a lot of suffering for a lot of people, and when public health professionals are often at the front of speaking about the pandemic, I think we collectively can become a symbol for that suffering that people have experienced. In my case, although, of course, I receive a lot of correspondence from Albertans and have certainly received some very sharp personal and professional criticism from some of them, I have not received what I would categorize as hate mail or threats. And instead, I would say, again, while there have been some people who have been very upset, there have been others who've sent notes with very thoughtful and respectful questions or suggestions, and others who've sent notes of appreciation for the work that our team is doing. So again, I think I've heard that full spectrum, and I think it's not surprising that when people are experiencing the impacts of the pandemic, that unfortunately sometimes they take it out on the person who is the spokesperson about why we need to manage collectively through this in ways that can sometimes cause suffering.
You know, I like her. That calm, measured response, nothing seems to rattle her. Now, there's something else that's been observed, at least in Canada. The most severe of those slanderous remarks seem to be directed against women who hold the same position as Hinshaw. The good doctor was asked, does gender play a role in this?
That's a difficult question to answer. Of course, I only have my own experience to go on, and I don't know. It would be difficult for me to compare that with what other people have experienced. It's not something I've discussed with my male colleagues across the country, so that might be something of interest to find out if they're experiencing some similar frustrations. But again, I think it is quite understandable that people do feel angry. It's just really important that if people are feeling angry, that they frame their concerns in a respectful way, and that, you know, whether people in leadership are women or men, anyone in a position of leadership does need to make decisions with the full spectrum of perspectives, but it's important that that be expressed in a respectful way.
Having listened to Dr. Hinshaw for the last 6 months, I just can't understand why anyone would make derogatory remarks about her. Do you support the public health experts in your area? Well, here's some good advice, not only from me, but from the experts as well. Remember to take care of others and take care of yourselves. Stay home, stay safe, and stay tuned to Eagle News for accurate and balanced coverage of the COVID-19 pandemic and other current affairs. In Edmonton, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Anna.
Thank you, Thomas, for your report. You know, you're absolutely right. I mean, I don't know how anyone can be angry with her. She's always so poised and calm and so reassuring, right? And
she's had a lot of tough questions asked of her at news conferences, and it's just that same unflappable manner. She, you know, the only bad thing about her is she works for the government, because if she was in private practice, I'd want her for my family doctor.
Well, I know. I think it's just natural for people to, you know, you're never going to please everybody, right? Everyone's always going to have opposing opinions. There's always going to be those who's going to support. But I think it doesn't matter who's going to stand in that podium. They're always going to get positive and negative remarks from everyone. And I know you mentioned before that you're not a fan of social media, right?
No.
For that very reason, right, Thomas?
That tends to stir up a lot of the stuff. This is where we get the politics mixed with the science, and she's coming from a science side. My background academically was scientific, so I tend not to be swayed by the politics.
Yes, they just have to stand their ground when it comes to that. I know, going through Twitter, anytime, like our governor here in Nevada, anytime he posts anything, as a matter of fact, he posted something that early next week he's going to have a press conference to announce some updates to our COVID-19 task force here. So already there's like all these different comments. Unfortunately, more negative than positive. So, well, Thomas,
everybody's a critic.
Yes. What, you know, being that you're not a big fan of social media, what advice, what tip would you give to our viewers when it comes to handling these comments that they see on social media?
Well, again, get your comments from credible sources. You know, whether it be a credible news agency or a website for public health officials, the CDC in the United States, Alberta Health Services, if you were in my province. But get credible advice, not somebody's opinion who's never opened a book, never gone to medical. Well, who needs medical school these days? You've got Google.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Thomas, for your report.
Okay.
Always a pleasure to have you on.
Always a pleasure to talk to you, Anna. Take care.
You too. In his recent visit to Virginia State Friday, President Donald Trump invigorates his base there, discussing a variety of issues, from filling the Supreme Court seat to his claims of possible voter fraud to health care. Eagle News correspondent Sarah Nachman with the story.
The election is in 39 days, but here in the state of Virginia, voting is in full swing. Early voting started last week, September 18, and here today in Newport News International Airport, President Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence stop to campaign.
Many issues are important to voters in this presidential election, including systematic racism, the economy, protecting pre-existing medical conditions, the pandemic, and the nomination of new Supreme Court justice to fill the seat of the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The crowd chants loudly and in unison, "Fill that seat," when Trump's speech touches on his nomination for the next Supreme Court justice. Trump said he wants a smooth transition, but his claims of voter fraud overshadow that. Trump voter fraud claim contradicts what FBI Director Christopher Wray while testifying to the Senate days before, saying, "We have not seen historically any kind of coordinated national voter fraud effort in a major election, whether it's by mail or otherwise." Concerning health care issues, he said that he would protect the pre-existing medical conditions, which is one of the main parts of the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare. It is worth mentioning that Trump signed a presidential proclamation a day before his rally, stating that he will protect pre-existing medical conditions. But unlike Obamacare, his proclamation is not a law, but merely a declaration. Trump named the leading companies that are working on the COVID vaccine as the pandemic is still raging in America with 7 million confirmed cases and 200,000 deaths. The CDC and leading healthcare experts like Dr. Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, are desperately urging people to wear a mask and social distance to slow down the spread of the virus, stating many lives can be saved through wearing a face mask and social distancing. In today's rally, face masks are few and social distancing among the crowd is lacking.
This is Sarah Nachman reporting live from Newport News International Airport, and I am one with 25.
And with us tonight, joining us is Miss Sarah Nachman. Sarah, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you, Anna?
Good. So you mentioned in your report, Virginia started voting already. Can you tell us about that process there in Virginia?
Yes. So the early voting in Virginia started last week, which is September 18. So voters can actually vote as an early voter. They have to go to the website, and it's called Virginia Department of Election. Go to Google Virginia Department of Election, and in there you can find information about where you should register and where you can vote early. You can vote early in person. You can also submit your mail-in ballot that you requested in that location where you will be voting early. So there's a lot of information online, credible information, but I suggest to go directly to Virginia Department of Election for credible information about early voting here in the state of Virginia.
Absolutely. Thank you for mentioning that, Sarah. We were just talking about, misinformation. I believe in our last segment, that was one of the topics about so many misinformations about the voting process in every state. So it's good that you mentioned that. Now, would you say Virginia is a Republican or a Democrat state?
So I want to give you a background. Last presidential election, 2016, it was won by Hillary Clinton, and the state of Virginia has 13 electoral votes. Now, this election, Donald Trump is hoping to flip Virginia back into the Republican side, which is why he was here in Newport News. And also Biden, trying to keep that hold of Democrats for the state of Virginia. He's been campaigning here through his wife, and I spoke with someone from the Biden's campaign and said they have more works for campaigning possibly here in the state of Virginia. So the state of Virginia is still in play. Don't count us out, but definitely it was for Hillary in 2016 presidential election, and it looks like this time the poll is leaning towards the Democrat side. However, the Republican, especially in the Congress race, I would like to mention, in the representative race, they want to flip the seat from Democrat to the Republican. The Republican, again, good example, Scott Taylor is running for congressman here in the state of Virginia, and he wants out Lorraine Lauria. And I can tell you, when I was at the rally Friday, you can hear people chant loudest when Trump mentioned we need to unseat Nancy Pelosi as the majority leader in the House. So definitely the Republican here in Virginia would want to see the House flip back to the Republican.
Yes, I mean, I did see the crowd. That's a lot of people there, and we can only wait and see how the election will turn out, right? And much anticipation on. I mean, we can look at the polls, yes, but polls is not always what it turns out to be in the end. So a lot of anticipation on that. Now, before I let you go, Sarah, what's the COVID numbers like there in the state of Virginia these days?
So the whole state of Virginia, when it comes to COVID, as of now, we are in the downward trend. For example, where we were Friday for Trump rally, let me give you the numbers. They had, I believe, 4 cases that day and 11 cases the day before. So it's really low compared to other places. And we are, we're very curious to see if that number will go up. The whole number in the state of Virginia will go up, especially here in the Hampton Roads area, which you have Virginia Beach, Newport News, Hampton, Norfolk, Chesapeake, Suffolk, Portsmouth, all in that same area, very close cities. So we want to wait and see, and hopefully we're hoping that our numbers are in the second COVID will not go up, because I live here in this area. And there's so many people that will be affected if that number goes up again.
Yes, I'm sure you have concerns, because as you mentioned in your report, there's a lot of people that were not wearing masks in that rally, correct?
Well, Anna, I want to mention that mask wearing is mandated by the state of Virginia's governor. So that was something that was actually against the governor's order. So anytime you have 250 or more people, it's not allowed. There's a cap of 250 people getting together. And it's mandated for people to wear masks and social distance. And as you can see in the picture, not a lot of people are wearing masks, but I do have to give credit. There's some people, more than usual, I guess, compared to the other places that Trump's rallies is happening, more people were wearing masks on Friday. But it really, you have to really think, if they're wearing masks, so something people say they do believe in COVID, that they are so fired up, they're out there supporting the
Yes, I think when people get excited, that's like the same thing here that happened in Las Vegas. Although I did not get approval for the media access request that I sent in, there was also a lot of people that were not wearing masks. Well, hopefully you will stay safe there, Sarah.
Right.
Thank you again for your updates, and a pleasure to have you on tonight. Take care.
Nice to see you, Anna.
You too, Sarah. Coming up, updates from our correspondents in Virginia Beach, Virginia, Gaithersburg, Maryland, Swarthmore, Pennsylvania. We'll return shortly. This is Eagle News, America.
The New Era University, in its 45th year of excellence, discipline, and service to humanity, will offer online education all levels beginning this first semester academic year 2020 to 2021 through the NEU Virtual Learning Environment, or NEU VLE. New Era University offers a complete basic education cycle from kindergarten up to senior high school, offering all strands. NEU has 18 colleges, and 2 graduate schools. It also offers ALS and ETF. Best of all, NEU has the most affordable tuition fees among private universities in the Philippines. NEU is at Quezon City, the city of San Fernando, Pampanga, General Santos City, South Cotabato, Lipa City, Batangas, and Pinugay, Baras, Rizal. New Era University is under the stewardship of Dr. Dilo L. Rosas. What are you waiting for? Be part of the new normal. Enroll now. Classes start on October 5, 2020.
Welcome back. We're watching Eagle News America. I'm Anna Cui here in Las Vegas. Virginia Governor Ralph Northam and his wife Pamela test positive for COVID-19. In Virginia Beach, Mark Anthony Borgonia reports.
Thank you so much, Anna. In Virginia, as coronavirus cases continue to steadily decrease, Governor Ralph Northam and First Lady Pamela Northam both tested positive for COVID-19 late last week, after they were notified that a member of their staff was infected, with whom they work very closely with. They received PCR nasal swabs as their form of testing and received the results Thursday afternoon. First Lady Northam is currently experiencing mild symptoms of the coronavirus, while on the other hand, Governor Northam is not showing any symptoms at all. They are currently following guidelines of the Virginia Department of Health, in which they have to quarantine or self-isolate for a minimum of 10 days while continually evaluating the symptoms that they are experiencing. Governor Northam released this following statement. As I've been reminding Virginians throughout this crisis, COVID-19 is very real and very contagious. The safety and health of our staff and close contacts is of utmost importance to Pam and me, and we are working closely with the Department of Health to ensure that everyone is well taken care of. We are grateful for your thoughts and support, but the best thing you can do for us, and most importantly, for your fellow Virginians, is to take this seriously. Regardless of the self-isolation, Governor Northam is still in constant communication with those a part of his cabinet and staff, and is making sure that the work of the governor is being completed remotely. In Virginia Beach, I'm Mark Bergonia, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Anna.
Thank you, Mark, for your report. It's good to hear that they only are experiencing mild symptoms, right? But how does that make you feel, government leaders contracting the virus?
Anna, it's a little bit scary because, even the governor contracted the virus himself, and along with his wife. He's so consistent with reminding Virginians to observe so many precautionary measures. And personally, naturally, it makes me want to, step up my guard to protect myself whenever I go out to do errands or whenever I have to leave my house. And this, all the more, it just goes to show how deadly or contagious this virus is, that anyone can contract it.
Exactly. So, it's unfortunate that that happened to them, but it serves as a great reminder, like you mentioned, to the residents there to, not to let their guard down. So,
exactly.
Be safe out there, Mark, and thank you again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anna.
Take care. High school sports make a comeback in Maryland, addressing what is considered the need of students to stay active and engaged. In Gaithersburg, Nia Danes has more.
Thank you, Anna. Maryland Governor Larry Hogan with State Superintendent of Schools Dr. Karen Salmon announced the return of fall sports next month, reversing a decision made by the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association, also known as MPSSAA. Salmon said, high school sports and competition are deeply rooted in the fabric of our schools and communities. The steps taken today are directly related to the needs of our students to be active and engaged for their physical, social, and emotional well-being. Practices and preparation for the season are set to begin as early as October 7 and competition season to start October 27. The October 7 start date option has 7 weeks of competition for fall sports, cross country, field hockey, football, golf, and volleyball. The season ends on December 12th. With this option, winter sports can start practices on December 14 and spring sports on March 15. As of now, 11 school districts, Allegheny, Anne Arundel, Calvert, Carroll, Charles, Cecil, Frederick, Garrett, St. Mary's, Washington, and Worcester have orchestrated plans for students to return to school campuses for fall athletics. From the looks of it, the two largest Maryland counties, Montgomery and Prince George's County, will continue with the Semester 2 plan, which has winter season practices beginning February 1st, fall on March 15th, and spring on April 26th. The MPSSAA advises all participants of the sport and at the venue to wear face coverings. There should be routine and frequent cleaning and disinfecting of equipment. Spectators are expected to social distance 6 feet apart. The number of spectators allowed may be limited by schools. The MPSSAA discourages handshakes and team huddles as room use. With many athletes excited about the return of sports, it is not they will start soon. School counties have the final decision on when their high school sports can resume. All 24 public school supervisors signed a statement saying high school sports should resume around the same time when students return on campus for instruction. In Gaithersburg, Maryland, Naya Dames, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Anna.
Thank you, Naya. Now, I think I remember you play volleyball. So what do you think about, the sports team practices coming back?
Well, as a high school senior, I am excited about the thought of returning to campus, and even more as an athlete to hear about this coming back. I was really devastated to learn that most of my senior year of high school would be done virtually, which I'm sure how many high school seniors felt as well. Though all the talk about returning is definitely exciting, I'm not too confident that we're ready to go back just yet, since there is hesitation at county level. Hopefully soon, though, the situation will only improve, and even though it's not guaranteed, I'm still very hopeful to return on campus, even if it's only for a little while.
Well, that's good to hear, Naya. Well, when you do return, make sure that you are taking, as I'm sure you will be taking precautions to stay safe. Thank you. In Swarthmore, Bureau Chief Mila Simbulan gives us a comprehensive look at COVID-19 testing in Pennsylvania and tells us what to know about insurance coverage when it comes to getting tested for the virus.
Thanks, Anna. It's a mild, cloudy, and I believe there's going to be raining tonight as well. About 70 degrees here in Pennsylvania. That's converted to about 20 degrees Celsius. So here's what's happening here in Pennsylvania. The state of Pennsylvania developed an enhanced testing strategy that makes testing accessible, available, and adaptable as the state learns more about the virus. The main goal is anyone who believes that they have symptoms of COVID-19 can get tested today. So how do we reach that goal? Here's Director of Contact Tracing and Testing, Michael Huff, to give us an outline on how all Pennsylvanians who want or need a test will have access to one. Take a look.
Our priority to ensure that all citizens of Pennsylvania who want or need a test will have access to one. However, priority attention will be given to those who are most vulnerable. Individuals will be offered testing based on a prioritized, tiered approach utilizing the following test types. A PCR test, which is the gold standard, but supply and turnaround time can be a challenge. An antigen test, which is much more widely available, and results can be within the same day. However, it has its own challenges with accuracy. The prioritization supports public health officials, healthcare providers, and laboratories in determining who should be tested given the current environment of the COVID-19 pandemic in Pennsylvania.
Testing is prioritized by 4 tiers. Tier 1 priority is for hospitalized individuals with signs or symptoms of COVID-19, symptomatic and asymptomatic individuals with certain underlying health conditions who are close contacts to a positive case of COVID-19. Tier 2 priorities for all other individuals with COVID-19 symptoms. Tier 3 priority is based on COVID-19 prevalence in the community for asymptomatic individuals who work in areas that have frequent interactions with the public and may not have the ability to maintain at least 6 feet of space on a consistent basis. For example, retail and manufacturing, and also food services. Tier 4 priority for individuals who are asymptomatic and who do not fall into other categories. This prioritization plan supports public health officials, healthcare providers, and laboratories in determining who should be tested given the current environment of the COVID-19 pandemic here in Pennsylvania. Let's talk about insurance coverage. Due to this pandemic, there are some who lost their jobs, which means losing their insurance coverage as well. And if there's a need for testing, some are reluctant since they have to pay full price for the COVID-19 testing. Here's Insurance Commissioner Jessica Altman to give us some options. Take a look.
All Pennsylvanians know their COVID-19 testing and coverage options. While Pennsylvania and this nation deal with the COVID-19 health crisis, it is imperative that we ensure access to quality health care, to testing, and to treatment. No Pennsylvanian who needs a test should forgo that test for any reason, including the fear of what that test may cost. The Insurance Department wants to assure Pennsylvanians that if they lose their employer-sponsored health care coverage because their employment was affected by the COVID-19 outbreak, there are options available for them to continue to have coverage. In Pennsylvania, individuals and families can secure coverage through the Affordable Care Act marketplace, and in addition to the ACA, medical assistance, the Children's Health Insurance Program, and COBRA that lets you maintain your employer coverage following employment are also options.
Before getting tested for COVID-19, you need to understand what kind of healthcare coverage you have. The laws and regulations that govern healthcare coverage can impact different types of coverage in different ways. Here's Altman to give us more insight about health coverage.
As a part of today's announcements, where we heard Dr. Levine and then Director Huff outline the Commonwealth's priorities for testing, we have also released additional guidance that aims to help Pennsylvanians understand what coverage for COVID-19 they are entitled to under their health insurance plans. I'm going to walk through some highlights of that guidance, particularly as it relates to those with the commercial health insurance products that my department regulates. Generally speaking, any kind of comprehensive medical insurance, including through Medicare, Pennsylvania's medical assistance or CHIP programs, or private health insurance plans in Pennsylvania, testing is covered if your healthcare provider determines that it's appropriate and needed. When your healthcare provider says you need that test, all of these types of insurance provide coverage without any out-of-pocket costs for you, like copays or your deductible. This includes the test itself, but it also includes any other costs associated with receiving the test, such as the fee to the provider or facility administering the test.
Health insurance is complicated by itself, and Commissioner Altman also encourages all those who have questions or issues when it comes to health insurance coverage to contact appropriate agencies in the state. In Spartanburg, Pennsylvania, Myla Simbula and Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Anna.
Thank you, Myla, for your report. You're absolutely right when you said, health insurance is complicated. A lot of people don't know really the ins and out of their, what's covered. So, this is good for them to have learned about what to look for, what to ask. So what about you? I'm curious, have you had COVID testing yet?
Yes, actually, Anna, I did a week ago. It's part of my annual testing. My primary care physician asked me if I want to do COVID testing. I told him, well, yeah, why not? And at first, actually, I was reluctant because of those those stories that we had out there about how they swab your nose. But contrary to what we've heard in the past, it's different. So they're not swabbing it as if they're trying to touch your brain. It's not. They're actually doing it softly from one on your nose, and then it's just a few seconds, and then it's done. And after 3 days, I got the result, which is great. I mean, I thought I'll have to wait for a week because I've heard stories of also from my friends that they have to wait like a week. Sometimes they're 2 weeks, but this time I got the result after 2 days. Anna?
Well, that's good, Myla, and I'm assuming it's good results because you're here with us.
That's right. It's just part of my annual checkup. But then my family was all like keep on asking me every day, like, so mommy, what's the result? So yeah, they're all excited at what the result is. I don't know why, but yes,
well, that's
it's a good result.
That's good. We can understand their apprehension and their anticipation on that. Well, thank you, Myla, for your update. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. You too, Anna. Bye-bye.
Take care. Up next, reports from Atlanta, Georgia, and Panorama City in California. Eagle News America will return in a moment. Stay with us.
Ein sonniger Tag heute hier in Berlin vor dem Bundestag. Ich bin Irene Juliet Arzadon und möchte diese Gelegenheit nutzen, um ein paar Worte mit euch zu teilen. An alle Menschen da draußen. In dieser Zeit lasst uns nicht vergessen, den Menschen zu danken, die ihr Leben für uns opfern. Sei es die Menschen, die im Krankenhaus arbeiten, in den Altenheimen sowie in den Arztpraxen, aber auch an die Menschen, die im Lebensmittelhandel sich befinden. Die Kassierer. Manchmal reicht es aus, um ihnen ein freundliches Lächeln zu geben. Denn die Menschen, die heute am Arbeiten sind, weil sie nicht so wie einige von uns zu Hause bleiben können, die sollten wir wertschätzen. Ihnen sollten wir unseren Dank ausrichten. Darum lasst uns noch mehr zusammenhalten. Sie wertschätzen.
The search for the best continues. Tangi Sengalin Part 2 is now accepting audition entries. If you are 21 to 59 years old and have what it takes to be the next Tangi Sengalin Grand Winner as a solo performer, duet, trio, band, or grouped act, submit your audition entries now. Just follow these guidelines. To submit audition entries for the singing category, contact Nikki at 0977-651-9504. This is your chance to be Tangi Sengaling's grand winner and win 2 million pesos. For more details and updates, visit and like the Tangi Sengaling Facebook page. What are you waiting for? Join now!
This is Eagle News America. I'm Anna Cui in Las Vegas. President Donald Trump, in his recent visit to Atlanta, woos Georgia black voters. In Atlanta, CJ Tamamo has the details.
Thanks, Anna. The 2020 elections are just a few weeks away, and the race to the White House continues. President Trump recently held rallies in Florida, Georgia, and Virginia all in one day. President Donald Trump has been wooing black voters here because Georgia is one of the 2020 election battleground states, with the polls for Trump and Biden having a 1% difference. In his recent visit here, the president announced a new Platinum Plan that helps black Americans. Take a look.
And I'm here today to announce a brand new plan to deliver more opportunity, more security, more fairness, and more prosperity to black communities. We call it the Platinum Plan. Platinum Plan. And that's a contract with black Americans, and it's going to be something that people talk about for a long time to come.
The Platinum Plan seeks to help African Americans by providing 3 million new jobs for Black communities, open 500,000 new Black-owned businesses, increase capital for Black communities by $500 billion, which includes investing in education and other institutions, building safer urban neighborhoods, and bringing improvement in the criminal justice system. Resisting the president's presence here in Georgia, Nikemi Williams, the chairwoman of Georgia Democrats, said in Twitter, quote, Black Georgians have lost lives and livelihoods under the Donald Trump presidency. Donald Trump has failed our community, and no campaign visit at the 11th hour can change that reality. We will vote him out in November, hashtag GA Pool. With Georgia being a battleground for the two parties, the fight for the White House continues on, and we'll see more activity here in the state. Vice President Mike Pence is also expected to stop by later this week. ZJ Tamamau, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Anna.
Thank you, CJ, for your report. Now, you mentioned Georgia is a battleground state, and where do you think it's leaning towards right now?
Right now, President Trump is leading the Georgia polls by 1%, but this is constantly changing. Last week, Biden was up by 3%, and the weeks before that, President Trump was up by 2%. So these polls are constantly changing, and it's hard to tell where Georgia is leaning towards right now. But last election, Trump won Georgia, the state. We just have to see what happens on Election Day. Anna?
Thank you, CJ. Well, we look forward to more of your updates as we get closer to Election Day. Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, Anna.
After years of less than stellar seasons, the LA Lakers are back on top of the NBA Western Conference. With their win over the Denver Nuggets, the Lakers are once again heading to the NBA Finals and are the talk of the town. Joining us tonight is Anray Rayutatar in Panorama City. Anray?
Thank you, Anna. Fans react to Los Angeles Lakers' win over the Denver Nuggets, capturing the Western Conference Championship title with a 4-1 series win and advancing to the 2020 NBA Finals after 10 years. After a 10-year dry spell, the Los Angeles Lakers are once again champs of the Western Conference and are headed for the NBA Finals, where they'll meet against the winner of the Miami Heat and Boston Celtics series. In returning to the big stage, the Lakers had to rout a very strong Denver Nuggets squad. Denver entered Game 5 last night, down 3-1, but were determined to come back from this deficit, as they had already done twice in the playoffs, which, by the way, had never been done before by any team in the same postseason. However, with the combined output of LeBron James' triple-double, 38 points, 16 rebounds, and 10 assists, Anthony Davis's 27 points, plays from veterans Dwight Howard and Rajon Rondo, and contributions of role players like Danny Green and Alex Caruso, the Lakers made sure that for Denver, that their time wouldn't be the charm. Earlier in the contest, the Lakers applied defensive pressure on Jamal Murray, a clear message that Los Angeles respected Murray's abilities on the court. As for Nikola Jokic, the Nuggets center ran into foul trouble early, which was good for LA, especially for LeBron, who took advantage of Jokic's absence by continually bullying his way into the paint to score seemingly at will. By the time the final buzzer sounded, it was Los Angeles who secured the victory with a score of 117-107. And at the end of the night, the Lakers stood alone on center court, hoisting the Western Conference trophy and wiping confetti off their faces. Now Laker fans react to Los Angeles returning to the NBA Finals. Let's take a look.
I'm relieved that the Lakers advanced to the finals, beating the Nuggets. You know, the Nuggets have a history of coming back 3-1, so getting to that 3-1 was really nerve-wracking because Nuggets might actually have a chance. But now I don't think anybody else can beat them. Celtics and Heat probably can't shut AD or LeBron down. So Lakers in 4, you know. What this means to LA is a lot, just because Kobe passed away this year. We haven't won a championship in like 10 years, and the season was cut short because of COVID. So we're hoping for this one to be the first one in a long time.
The Lakers are back in the finals. After 10 long, hard years since the last championship, they are finally back to where they belong. You know, as Laker fans, we admit we're spoiled by the multiple championships over the Kobe years. But, you know, this Lakers organization have built this team to win a championship with LeBron at the helm. We've been waiting for so long, 10 long, hard years of watching really bad basketball from the Lakers, but we're back. Go Lakers!
As a longtime Lakers fan, I couldn't be more happy, more ecstatic, more proud of my team for continuing to display the dominance throughout this playoff run. I think it's going to be such a momentous moment for the city of Los Angeles. As the Lakers, we expect excellence every season. We haven't been in the playoffs since 2013, and we haven't reached the finals since 2010. We've had a lot of bad seasons. We've had a lot of injuries that derailed us from playoff success. And, with the passing of the late, great Kobe Bryant, the city of Los Angeles needs some sort of happiness. And, what better way to bring happiness and joy back into the city than by bringing back the Larry O'Brien Trophy back to its rightful home. In the words of the late, great Jerry Buss, it's showtime.
This season hasn't been an emotional journey for the NBA. There's a pandemic that delayed and even endangered the season. Demonstrations arising out of police misconduct allegations and calls for justice and equality were also critical issues that players and teams faced. And let's not forget about the relocation of games to the bubble in Orlando, where players have spent an extended amount of time away from family, friends, and even their own beds. Last night was technically a home game for Los Angeles, but only on paper. The truth is the Lakers, just like other teams, haven't been home in quite a while. And for Los Angeles, there's another reason why this trip back to the championships is so significant, and that reason is Kobe Bryant. The last time the Lakers won the title was with Bryant, and with his death early this year, another championship victory would mean a great deal to the one only city that Kobe ever laced up for as an NBA player. So, will LA reclaim its crown and one more sit atop the basketball world? Laker fans are eager to find out. In Panorama City, California, on Rio Tatar Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Anna.
Thank you, Anne-Ray, for that update. Now, during the break, you mentioned, because we were wondering who was going to play against the Lakers, right? Can you give us an update?
Yeah, so recently I just found out that the winners of the Boston Celtics and Miami Heat series was Miami Heat.
So then they'll be playing the Lakers then for the finals, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, well, we can't help to root for the Lakers because, as your report, in 10 years with Kobe Bryant, it's going to be a sweet victory if they do win. I guess it's obvious, who you're rooting for, but can you tell us how excited are you for the finals?
I'm so excited for the finals to, have my home team be back there after 10 long years. Hopefully they win 4 games to none. I have faith in my team, so I really hope they take it all and win the championship.
All right, well, we'll hear more updates from you about that, Anne-Ray, I'm sure. Thank you for your report. Pleasure to have you on.
Thank you, Anna.
For tonight's Come See My City, Bureau Chief Joanne Soriano takes us to Dumbo in Brooklyn. This is Eagle News America. Stay with us.
Accurate and fair reporting. Not only from Batanes to Tawi-Tawi, but also abroad. Detailed and timely stories relevant to people all over the world. Catch all of these at Net 25, your reliable source of news, entertainment, and technology updates. Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business every Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. Open for Business, from vision to action.
You're watching Little News America. I'm Anna Kui in Las Vegas. Tonight, we get to tag along New York Bureau Chief Joanne Soriano as she strolls around Dumbo, or down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass in Brooklyn. Find out what's there to see and eat.
While traveling is still limited, come take a walk to Brooklyn with me and come see my city. This pier is one of our favorite places to bring tourists and friends because of the great views of Manhattan and a lot of restaurants. So here we are in Dumbo, approaching one of the most iconic street corners in all of New York City. After a day exploring Dumbo, make sure you grab a bite at one of the many delicious dining options. In Brooklyn, New York, Joanne Soriano, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Joanne, for that fun feature. Now, let's ask our team here, if you were to tour someone in your city, where would be the first place you'd take them? How about we start with Naya?
Hi, so here in Gaithersburg, Maryland, the first place I would take someone would be the Rio Washingtonian Center. It features a lot of beautiful places such as stores around which you could go with your friends to shop. There's also a carousel for the kids. There's a beautiful lakefront and you could also go around, and they have paddle boats in many different animals such as a dragon or duck or things of such sort. And there's a lot of beautiful attractions there.
Sounds like a nice place. A little bit of everything for the family, every age, right? Carousel for the kids. Yes, paddle boat. Those who want to get on there and do a bit of exercise. Well, thank you, Naya. What about, let's go to Mark.
Well, here in Virginia Beach, if I were to take someone from out of town who hasn't been here yet, I'd first take them to the Virginia Beach oceanfront because there's so many different things you can do. You can, rent a multi-person bike for the family. On the boardwalk, you can go to the beach, especially right now since the weather is kind of cooling off just a little bit. It's not too hot and it's not too cold. It's right in that perfect middle zone. And there's so many different things you can do there. You can take your kids to the ice cream shops along the boardwalk, and they have hot dog stands. There's you just go there and then you just experience it yourself.
There you go. That sounds like fun. Would you say that this time of year, as you mentioned, is the perfect time to visit Virginia Beach?
Yes, Anna. I think right now it's the perfect time. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. So if you were to go, right now is a good time.
All right. Well, thank you, Mark. Now, what about, let's go to California, to Anne Ray. Where would you take friends who visit your city?
Friends that would come to my city, I would go ahead and take them to Little Tokyo in Los Angeles. It's quite a drive, but I'm a big fan of the Japanese culture. So there's lots of there in Little Tokyo, like authentic Japanese shops. Of course, ramen, and even they have a stand where they sell authentic Japanese snacks.
Oh, that's interesting. I love Japanese food myself. All you can eat. What are some of the Japanese snacks that you've tried out there?
They're like red bean buns, and a lot of like dango is like one of the popular ones.
Did you say mango?
Dango.
What is that?
It's kind of like soft balls, and like it's covered with a syrup. It's pretty sweet.
Ah, okay. Well, if we visit you in California, we'll have to visit Little Tokyo. Now we have ZJ. How about there in Atlanta?
If I had to bring someone to tour Atlanta, I would bring them to World of Coca-Cola in downtown Atlanta. It's like a museum, and you could also taste different flavors of Coca-Cola around the world. Like my favorite are like the Asia flavors. There's like watermelon Fanta. It's really good. If you ever come by Atlanta, World of Coca-Cola, you should definitely visit.
All right. Well, that's interesting. I would definitely keep that in mind. CJ, thank you for that. Well, thank you, team, for sharing that with us. Let's continue to thank our healthcare workers, first responders, and essential workers with a round of applause. We appreciate all of you. That is today's Eagle News America. Thank you for joining us. I'm Anna Klee. We live in interesting times.
Established 1975, rising